Just like a racehorse, building a workflow can be intimidating at first, but as you start to use it, start to get more familiar with it, you can see the power in what it can accomplish. I click on workflows to design a workflow, and typically I would set one up by creating create workflow or by clicking on create workflow, establishing the steps. To save time, I've already created some activities within a workflow, but none of them have rules. So we're going to focus on setting up workflow rules today. If I click on a step right here, it says click and drag to create a rule. I can go from the invitation email to any of these steps or activities that I have set up. I'm going to take it to this test step. Now, when setting up conditions, you can set pass-fail conditions, you can set stop-start conditions. So to do that, you define conditions in this cell. When I'm sending an email, I want everyone to get that. So I'm going to leave that condition blank, and a blank condition will take everyone to the next step. So I'm going to create this rule, call it sent, the description is sent, and the status is sent. And that's what's going to show in your workflow result screens, in your exporting. So this value here can be configured to say anything you want it. As I click finish, it now establishes a link between those two steps. The activity sequence will say invitation email goes to test 2, and I can drag it around in either direction. So this is kind of a what you see is what you get piece of that. So that's an activity or a rule that goes automatically from step to step. There are other rules I might want to create that are based on actual conditions. In this case, I think I'm going to say, for the professional employment test short form, raw score. If the raw score, I clicked on that variable name, is greater than 3, that's an arbitrary value, so don't pay any attention to that. I want it to do something. So I can validate that condition. The condition is valid. You can set up operators, different numbers, ands and ors and parentheses, so the condition can get extremely complex. You can hit finish there, and I'm going to say this is a pass condition. This is fictional. I've set that up. You could make it do anything you want. You can set any status you want, but I'm going to call it pass and hit finish. And it goes, great, I'm going from the invitation email. They take the test. If they get greater than 2, which are 3, which is defined in this condition, they're going to move to this results email. Well, I must create the other half of that, or else I'm going to have some orphaned conditions. And I'm going to call this my fail email because I'm super creative. So I have fail. I'm going to create a status of fail, but I have to make sure my condition defines all other scenarios. So I'm going to say this is less than or equal to 3. So we've defined that. Actually, I should always validate my condition to make sure my syntax is correct and hit finish. And now we've set up 3 rules. One that's an auto rule, it just kind of moves you to the next step. Another one that's a pass-fail condition to move from step to step. That's how rules are created within a workflow. Another thing to pay attention to, these activities could get out of sequence based on your rules. So make sure that if there is a definite linear relationship, that you drag these to where they belong. So invitation email to test 2 to results or fail email are the correct sequence. I can click my validation button again to make sure there are no validation errors, and then I hit save, and this workflow is now created successfully with 3 rules. Your rules have save you a lot of time, can establish a predictable cadence to what you're doing, so as someone takes a test, I can either send a results pass email or I can send a fail email so that you don't have to do that manually. Finally, you can preview the rules of this and you can publish it to make sure it's available for assignment.